Welcome to another edition of 10 Minute Misconduct, where we discuss everything that has happened in the past week in Leafland, go through some rants, some raves, what we liked, what we didn't like, and some last minute thoughts. So I'll start it off, and I'm going to start off by eating a little bit of crow here because during the offseason, when the Leafs were signing, Kasha and Richie, they ended up signing a guy named David Kempf, who I had never heard of. And I immediately tweeted out, why are they signing all of these losers, especially to multi-year deals? They should be saving that cap space. And then it didn't help that I think it was Jay Fresh let out his player card, and his analytical chart looked terrible as well. And I got to eat crow because I got to say, I've been really impressed with David Kempf and his line. Keefe has always talked about how they wanted a shutdown line, and they essentially got it right now. You look at this third line of the Leafs, they pretty much start every shift in the defensive zone. And when you look at their analytical chart after that, they are outshooting their opponents and outchancing their opponents in the expected goals chart. So to be able to do that against the other team's top players, and when you're starting in the defensive zone the whole time, man, that's pretty good. So even if they don't score any goals, which they have been scoring lately, if you just make it a tie and don't get scored on, and you don't score any goals, and you eliminate the other team's top players, and then that allows your top two lines to go out there and do some damage. I really like what I'm seeing here out of Kempf and Kasha, that combination. I know a lot of people want to see Kasha move up because he's looked really great, but I don't know if I really want to take him off of that line because they look so great together. I don't know. Is there another Czech player out there that we can add to the left wing of that line, make it the all Czech line? That's my thought so far. And going into the week, we said, they had 4 games last week. If they can get 5 of a possible 8, ended up getting 6. So it was a really good week for the Leafs. Could have even beat Pittsburgh. I thought they were the better team. They ended up hitting 4 or 5 posts, whatever it was. But you can't win them all. It is what it is. And yeah, Frankie, what are your thoughts so far on Leafland and my thoughts of Kempf and that third line?
Yeah, I didn't come out and say, he was a loser because I really didn't really know who he was, to be quite honest with
Oh,
you.
I said
I was
exactly. Who
I
had
was
heard of him
aware of
before?
him. I was aware of him. I was kind of looking at how much his contract was. So obviously I'm like, maybe think it was an overpay, especially because the guy had 2 goals. But the more and more you look into it and what his role was going to be, listen, you can't find third line checkers who do a decent job like that. He won't be in any sulky conversations. He doesn't put up enough points. But hey, listen, instead of having Tavares as your guy going up against their top guys last year and essentially taking out your second line scoring and really leaving only to one line, maybe this really opens up 2 lines of scoring, as you go along. So it's been okay. Listen, I'm not going to jump for joy. I think it's been effective. I don't think it's a finished product yet. I think the bond he has with Kasia growing up, they were childhood friends, and now they played all the way through international home clubs all together. That's pretty cool. I still think that line could be even better, and I think when you add a guy like Mikheyev there, or in my opinion, when it's all said and done, I think it could be Kerfoot. Sorry, Nick. I think Nick Ritchie will be the guy on that line. My apologies, just hopping the way I see things, and he's been okay on that line too. I thought he was been okay, a little less you kind of hiding him a bit on that line, but it forced him to play a little more defensive, which is good. So, yeah, we'll see. In general, though, I must say, if I can add one thing to this week, that win against the Islanders might have been one of the most impressive wins I've seen in years from this team. They could have easily hung Wall out to dry. Again, like they did with Pittsburgh. It was a spot where you lost the first game, you're going into a new building, they're going to boo Tavares. We were expecting the Leafs to be like, okay, they're going to get, 4-0 loss. And poor Wall, this kid's going to get, shit kicked. And it was like on Twitter, on the message boards. Credit him. Wall actually came into the game, made a couple good saves to get him his feet wet into the game, and they fed off that. Yes, Islanders they had a few players in the COVID protocol. I get it, but it's still the NHL. You got to play. That was the excuse against Pittsburgh, and they got their lunch handed to them. Credit the Leafs for doing that, pulling out a big 2 points because, again, it's an Eastern Conference team. You're probably going to be battling maybe a wild card spot again. That's just a good game to rally around. You saw them at the end, how they rallied around Wall and the celebration they did on the ice and after this. That's the type of stuff that makes you grow as a team. Little thing, but I think it was an important thing. So, and lastly, listen, if Wall can play a few games here and there and get some confidence, I don't want to look too far down the road, but if he could be a capable backup to Campbell as we go along here, that makes Mrazek expendable in the offseason, which is big if they need that money to sign Campbell. So I think the spotlight could be on Wall here if he gets a few more games in the next day, maybe 20 games or so. So
we
really,
know he's going to play this week, right? They have another back-to-back. They're on the West Coast, so he'll get one of them.
I don't think they're Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, but I heard he could get one of the the one of the weekend games. I did hear he could get one. So just because of the travel.
My bad. Excuse me. All right, Bobby, you have any observations? I know you're half asleep over there.
Nope. All right.
Wow.
I want to jump into one thing here. So I want to talk about at least 5-on-5 for a minute. So a lot has been said about Austin Matthews. He's really we're talking about like the greatest 5-on-5 scorer since the time he's entered into this league. He's stuck on 2 5-on-5 goals, which is very it's unheard of for him. He's actually have one fewer goal than David Kampf. So that's but there's the connection to David Kampf there, 5-on-5, Joe. He's shooting at 3.8% 5-on-5, 2 goals and 53 shots. It's like the worst luck he suffered in the NHL in his career. But the Leafs themselves are shooting at just under 6% at 5-on-5. They've won 11 of the last 13 games, and they're shooting under 6% at 5-on-5. You can either take that as scary, bad, or scary good that the power play has been that good. Sooner or later, they're gonna have to score 5-on-5, and they will. And if that's the case, they could be even that much better. Okay, so this is the optimism side of it. Right now, they rank 27th in 5-on-5 goals for 20 games, just in front of the Canucks. So Robbie, there's your there's your connection there.
They're a really good team, Bobby. Yeah. Really good.
But the underlying metrics say that they should be scoring like crazy from the chances they're getting. No team in the league boasts a better expected 5-on-5 goals rate for the Leafs. They just haven't been going in. So keep your eye on that. We could revisit that, but that's a scary thought. I think that could be it could drop any time now. The last thing is, for me, we talk about the lineups and the left winger position and all of that on the first line. I want to see I call the Boston model, the perfection line. I'd like to see him go with Nylander-Matthews-Marner just to try it. He's rolls 3 lines, and we talk about the shutdown line. He can still have that, but he does do it 2-3 times a game, coming after a penalty kill, or in a situation where he has an offensive zone face-off. He'll throw out those 3 guys. Do it for a longer period. All right, when they're out there, they generate a 70% expected goals in those small sample sizes. Again, a very high stat. Sooner or later, that's going to drop. The Bruins do it with Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand. Colorado does it with Rantanen, McKinnon, and Landeskog, but they do it for prolonged times. Those are good teams. And listen, their second, third line, fourth lines are really nothing to sneeze at. So, why can't the Leafs do the same thing? Why can't they do a Nylander-Matthews-Marner, Bunting, Tavares, Kerfoot? Tavares is used to playing with plugs on the island anyways. The guy scored for 40 goals. We played Matt Molson.
Calapozo.
Right? Listen, I'm just saying. It's looking at the metrics, as you said, Joe, if you want to put Corsi into this and all of that and expected goals and all that, there's nothing wrong with putting, they have at least talent to run that one line. And that might even help on the power play line in terms of chemistry, right? So anyways, just my thoughts on that. I'm curious what you think, because try stopping that line. You know what I mean? And then coming back again with a decent line of Tavares, Bunting, Kerfoot. I think they could probably generate a lot more, definitely put the puck in a lot more considering.
I don't mind them trying it. I mean, last year we were upset that they didn't experiment enough. They had so much time. They were in first place. They had it locked down, and they never strayed away from what their lines were. So I don't mind doing the experiment. I would be interested to see how the rest of the depth of the lineup would do, taking Nylander away from the second line. But if you look at it, Nylander and Tavares haven't really meshed really well the last couple of games anyways, right? So it could be interesting to check that out. I would do it at least for a couple games, give it some rope and see what happens. In terms of the shooting percentage, I feel like they've been a little bit unlucky for sure, but then they just need to be a little bit more, and I'll use a soccer phrase for this. They need to be a little bit more clinical with their finishing. A lot of shots right at the goalie, a lot of shots over the net. Like Matthews in particular, his shot he's renowned for his shot, and his shot just hasn't looked what it's looked like in the past. I don't know if the wrist is still bothering him, or maybe not having the training camp and not having the summer to shoot the puck really has hampered him in that way. We haven't seen that the patented Matthews curl and drag shot top cheese. He's missing the net a lot. So eventually, we still got 60 games left here. Eventually, he's going to find it and goals are going to go in. This guy is not going to shoot 2%, 3%. It's just not going to happen. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's valid. I'm more curious.
At the same time, though, you got to figure that, is Jack Campbell's save percentage going to stay above 930 the whole season? That's rather
They're
tough.
Still giving up a lot of shots. Yeah, that one there, everything kind of
so that's what I'm saying.
Out.
You I think they'll start to score more goals, but they're also going to give up a few more goals if the chances are they're still allowing chances. And Campbell's not going to keep a 930 up, I don't think.
Especially with that pairing of Muzzin and Hall. That's still a very scary second pair. They're not playing any better. I think they're being able to cover up a lot of issues, but that's a very scary thought. Dubas really has to address that somehow.
I think they're just going to let them play it out. I mean, I was at the game Saturday, and I think they were on the ice for both goals against. They didn't look good. They looked slow. But, hopefully I trust Jake Muzzin. I think he'll find it. Justin Hall, give him some rope, see what happens. Hopefully he can find it as well. That's all they really can do. There's half the league is up against the cap. You can't make any moves until the deadline. So this is what they have right now. They got to make it work.
Okay, Joel, last thing for me before we go. Yes or no answer, very quick. If San Jose retains most of the money and we can throw some money back, would you take Evander Kane from San Jose?
I love the player. I don't like the person from what I've heard. I mean, they'd have to have their scouts talk to people who have played with them and things like that. They have to do their homework. But, from everything you've heard, I mean, they all can't just be rumors. Some of it's got to be true. And is that a guy you want to bring into your lineup? I mean, his physical abilities, nobody doubts. He's strong. He's powerful. He skates well. He's got a good shot. I think he would, the talent would certainly look great in this lineup, but I don't know if the person meshes well in this group.
Well, Dubas does love reclamation projects.
That is true.
But my guess is because of his past and his criminal history, he ends up on Montreal. So that's all for me.
All right. Before we end this, that's it for Leaf Talk. But Robbie, because you're sleeping the whole time, I want to kick it to you for a second. I just want to throw something at you. I remember in the bubble 2 years ago, having to listen to all those Canuck fans think that their team was the best team in Canada because they beat the Blues, who had Jordan Binnington forget how to stop a puck. And then they took the next series against Vegas to 7 games, even though they got outshot 40-15 each game. I'm just laughing inside because they made me sick with that, to actually think that they were good in the manner that they won. And now they all look ridiculous. They almost look as ridiculous as the people who thought that, they would take Suzuki and Caulfield over Matthews and Marner. I put them on the same wavelength. Cool. I don't know if you got any comments for that. I just want to throw it back in your face.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, throw it at me. Sure.
It'll make me sick.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks for good chat. Good chat.
All right, everybody. That's another edition of 10 Minute Misconduct. You got a couple free minutes from us. If you like what you saw, like, subscribe, write us some comments, even some negative ones. We'll take it and we'll respond back. Thanks for listening, everybody.